This was a question on Discord, and it's about relationships and romance. But I think today it's less about the question at hand, but more about I think everyone can benefit from knowing a little bit about relationships in general and how I think about it. So, 90%, well, I mean, what I'm trying to say is majority of relationships are transactional by a very big margin, right? We think that love and emotion is like, given unconditionally and not transactionally. But the thing is, emotions are pretty, there's plenty of examples of how we give emotions in exchange for something. Sometimes it's for emotion to emotion trade. Sometimes it's emotion for money trade, right? And so, just like how physical objects can be traded, non tangible emotions and experiences can be exchanged with each other, right? So, when we talk about romantic relationships, we think that romantic relationships need to be founded on love, absolute love, unconditional love. But actually, I think that is an unrealistic expectation because relationships founded on transactions can work out fine as a romantic relationship. And, when the trade terms are no longer met, then relationships can end. We like to think that breakups are really bad. We like to think that, when we get into a relationship, it needs to, go all the way until the end. But again, I think, is it nice if that happens? Yes. But people change over time, interests change over time, life circumstances for both individuals change over time. Therefore, it is perfectly reasonable to assume that the relationships that you enter, whether it be a romantic one or a non romantic one, it is going to change over time. Therefore, there is no problem with it ending. That's the theory of it, but in practice, we keep deluding ourselves into the idea that things need to be permanent and it has to be lovey-dovey forever, and the other person needs to love me unconditionally. But then, you know, the romantic relationships, it doesn't really matter. You can have a totally transactional relationship with a romantic relationship, and even when you have a marriage, there's the option of divorce these days, right? Of course, would it be nice to not get into a relationship or a marriage where you're gonna end up in a divorce? I mean, paperwork wise, it is pleasant to not have to do that much paperwork. But the thing is, it all teaches you something about life, and it's just a part of it's just a way of experiencing life. It's not inherently bad or whatever. Okay, so in terms of an unconditional love, right? The other person can do whatever they want, and you have made the decision to love this person, regardless of what they do, regardless of what happens. This is unconditional love. Now, that means sometimes, from the outside perspective, it can seem like you're on the losing end. It can seem like you are really having a bad time because this person, the other person, is doing nothing for you, and yet you are still loving them, right? But that's exactly what makes it unconditional, right? And because of this nature, when you have unconditional love for people, it doesn't even need to be romantic. So, coincidentally, if you happen to be in a romantic relationship with somebody you unconditionally love, is it nice? Yes, it's nice. But the thing is, true unconditional love does not require a romantic relationship. So, I'm not saying go, confess your love to somebody who doesn't want it and then, stay around them and continue to be a, presence in their life. No, I'm not saying like basically be a creep, but it's more like when you love somebody, you can respect their wishes, right? When you love somebody, you don't really want to or need to enforce how you want to experience love. You meet love you meet them at where they want to be seen with the love that you hold for them. So you can love somebody unconditionally and they can want to have nothing to do with you. And in that case, with your love, you will stay away because you know that is what is good for them. That's what love is, right? But of course, from the outside perspective, this is just a losing game. It's a waste of time in terms of chasing romantic relationships. So that's why I am saying true love doesn't necessarily require a romantic relationship. But again, is it nice if you have a romantic relationship and you love the person unconditionally? Yeah, I think, that is pretty nice. But it is in no way a requirement. So, when you keep this in mind, you can have a little bit of an easier time thinking about relationships because, again, it's fine for things to be transactional. And the more you understand that relationships are very prone to change, especially because one person is prone to change. The other person, one person prone to change. Relationships are two people agreeing to be together, right? Over time, the chances of you both changing in the same way that maintains your relationship, it's gonna be really hard. So keeping realistic expectations about relationships is actually going to be what might end up making your relationships stable over time.